Here's yet another use for this windshield urethane that's going to work out really sweet in this instance and save me some time and money. This is the console lid that goes between the seats, and this thing, the hinge was broken back here, and the latch up here was broken so that they weren't functioning. And it was just sitting there. It didn't look bad, but it wasn't functional as it was, and I don't want to spend 50 or 75 bucks to fix this. So as you can see, I've run myself a bead of windshield urethane around the edge of it. I've cleaned it up, and I know where it's going to sit on there. I'm just going to take it in and set it into place. Also, the plastic button for the latch for the thing was just completely falling out loose in there, so I've gone down inside and I've glued it in place. That's what the tape's holding it in place till it dries. And so when it's all said and done, this is just going to look like the finished armrest in the middle between the seats there. But again, this is another really slick way to use this windshield urethane. In fact, while I've got this video going, I'm going to show you another thing or two that I've done with it on my personal pickup truck over here. This old Chevy's got 325,000 miles on it, and it just keeps on moving. But I've had 2 or 3 things that have fallen down on me or broken. One of them is these plastic panel here that holds the switches in. Has had a couple of clips, I think one back here and one up here that were built into it. And at some point in time, those just broke off, and so this thing was sitting there flopping and wobbling, and there was no good solution except to go to Chevy and order a new piece here, and I didn't want to pay that kind of money. But I took some masking tape and taped off around this thing, and then windshield urethaned it all the way around there, taped it in place, let it sit overnight, and bingo, fixed it. I haven't had a problem with it since. Same thing happened over on the other side over here. I repaired it. And then I had, I believe it was this up here, this center lighting console overhead, all of a sudden fell down on me one day. And as I got to looking at it, it was the same deal. It had some plastic clips up in here that, because of the heat and the fatigue and the jostling around, had broken off. And there just wasn't any way to fix it except to go buy a whole new unit here. But I got up in there and put some windshield urethane back behind it and put it up there. I think I propped something up in place and held it in place, and that was 100,000 miles ago, and I still haven't had any problems with it. So it works great. This stuff's really phenomenal for that kind of thing. So anyway, I'm going to put this video together with several different projects that I've done with it that have just radically changed, and did use it what it was supposed to in my truck by replacing the windshield myself. So, you know, the stuff's great stuff. Another place where I've used that urethane and had amazing results. I bought this car a while back, a little Chevy Cobalt, and it had the front bumper was in pretty good shape, but somebody had run into something, and it was cracked all the way down through here. I mean, broken, cracked, and these cracks were open, and it clear up over into here and like that. And normally on a car like this, well, first of all, it's kind of down where it's not in your main sight line, so I'm not concerned that it looks absolutely beautiful. But normally that would require me to get a new bumper for this, and a new bumper on this one, it had been repainted, and so getting the paint to match would be a giant pain. But you'd have probably spent $100 to $150 for a new bumper and another $150 in time and paint supplies and that kind of thing, trying to get this thing back into condition. And it's a used car that I'm going to sell, but I just needed it to look nice and be functional. So I came in here on this bumper and took some masking tape and taped all these cracks to where they were in the correct position for where they need. I just covered the whole thing with masking tape on the outside. And then I came around from behind, and I had the bumper cover off, obviously, to do it, but came around from behind and filled these joints and covered all of those cracks with the windshield urethane. And got them all set up. I even ran up through this middle upright here, which was broken in several places, and another one back over here. And when that stuff dried, it's really solid in there, and it's going to be strong because that stuff flexes just enough that it won't pop off of there whenever, if they bump something or with the heat and the cold or something. But I was able to save myself 300 plus bucks here, maybe $400 or $500 in this repair with a $25 tube of windshield urethane. And that's why I love this stuff. It's so durable. I just got in behind, like I said, put masking tape on the front, got in behind with a Scotch-Brite pad and scuffed it and cleaned it real good. Wiped it down with rubbing alcohol. And when that dried off, then I put the urethane on it and just let it sit overnight. And bingo, I had a great repair there. And this is something that I've not been able to find a good solution to other than that. Nothing else that I've ever tried works well long term, but I believe we just solved that problem. So there it is, another one of the many uses of windshield urethane to solve some problems on a car. I forgot to add on that repair of this bumper cover here. I didn't just put urethane in here. Behind this section right here, because I've got some width in there, and then when I got over into this bigger piece here, behind this section, I cut myself a chunk of aluminum plate or sheet metal that I had here, and kind of roughly, lightly formed it to where it fit in there fairly good. You don't have to be real specific here, but then I put my urethane in there first, and then laid that aluminum in it, and then put some more urethane around the edges of it and things. So that acts as a reinforcement behind here, as well as the urethane. So I don't know if you'd have to do that, but I feel like putting that in there made this a better repair. So I just wanted to throw that in here. This is not just urethane in this whole thing, but it does have those two pieces of aluminum plate in there to help stiffen it up a little bit. And here we go as a final wrap up on this part of this project on the Crazy Dad Camaro. This is a couple days later. I've let this console cover sit in here, and that sucker is in there good. There's no way it's going to come out or anything like that. And so it makes it look like it's just a nice piece of the center console there. We just don't have access to opening it, which I'm okay with in this car. That's fine. I don't need to store a whole bunch of junk down in there. I've got a cup holder right here, and that's plenty good for what I normally use the thing for. And it beats the heck out of having to go find a whole new console, which, by the way, in 20 or so cars I've looked at in the wrecking yards, all of the lids are broken, and there's actually two different styles. This 93, 94 had this style deal on it, and then later on, somewhere in there, they switched, and the ones that go up to 2000 have a different shape of console. So I wasn't going to be able to get one out of a wrecking yard, period. That would mean trying to buy a new one, which I don't even know if they're available anymore, and I doubt if anybody's making reproduction stuff for this car yet. So it's kind of one of those solutions that works, and again, another great use for the windshield urethane. So there you go. That wraps up another chunk of the Crazy Dad Camaro saga here.